What's up, guys? Welcome to the Second Take. I'm Zach.
I'm Jonah.
Some people say the West Coast is the best coast, but we say the Second Take is the best take. Before we get started today, we just want to let you know about our social media. So on Twitter, our handle is at second, as in 2ND, take sports, and the S in sports is a 5. Like our Facebook page, which is the Second Take Sports Podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube page, the Second Take. And then most importantly, share all of those with your friends and try to get our podcast out there. So, as you guys know, the National Championship game for basketball was last night. Pretty good one, so that's how we got to start our show today. But we're going to...
Yeah, that was a game and a half.
Yeah.
Sure.
I kind of wish it wasn't over yet, but it's all right. So, instead of starting with the good of the NCAA, we're going to start with incompetence of the NCAA. So, one thing we're going to talk about just quickly... Gonzaga, Syracuse, I know we already talked about the game, but the officiating. So the NCAA released a statement last week saying that the refs missed a call, which potentially could have cost Gonzaga the game. And sure, they missed the call, but what's the point of even talking about it right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this would have been a scenario where it would have been better just to, pretend it didn't happen, pretend you didn't know anything about it, because would have been the kind of thing where fans would have been upset about a missed call for a few days, and then they would have forgotten all about it. Now it becomes a whole thing where they admit their mistake and don't do anything to correct it, which seems to be a pattern in the NCAA in general.
Yeah, it's getting kind of ridiculous. All sports. Everyone's going to miss a call. We're not complaining about that. But when you admit to missing the call and then you do nothing to change what that call did, so it makes me think of the Duke-Miami football game. Miami returns a kickoff with 0 seconds on the clock, but they were clearly down. The NCAA reviews it, says the kid was down. So all they had to do was say, Duke wins, they were down, there's no time on the clock. Literally nothing else could have happened. And they say they can't do that. So why admit to a mistake when you can't do anything to fix it?
Right, I don't know why they're bringing this stuff up again. It's not good for them. It's not good for the school that the call was against, because now they have a reason to want the win back, and they're not going to get it. And it's not really even that good for the school that won, because now...
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because now their victory's tainted, and they're not going to feel as good about it. So really nobody wins in a scenario like this. But we're used to nobody winning with NCAA.
And, Syracuse already had enough haters, me included, saying they don't deserve to be there, so now they have all the more reason to think that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, I just thought this was a funny thing where during the Final Four game between Syracuse and North Carolina, two of our most notorious NCAA rules violators, there was a commercial at halftime of the game, and the taglines in the commercial, it was all talking about the NCAA, all the great stuff, whatever, just the classic images of athletes doing stuff and working hard and whatever.
But we don't know if that's actually real or not.
The tagline at the end of the commercial was prioritizing academics, well-being, and fairness. I just thought that was some brilliant, if unintentional, irony in the middle of a game between Syracuse and North Carolina, two schools that have a history of prioritizing none of those three things.
Yeah, are in the midst of allegations against exactly those things right there.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it was probably just the NCAA getting their jokes out. They're not exactly the best business. Or sorry, not non-profit organization, whatever you want to call them, making bazillion dollars.
Which the athletes get how much of?
Yeah, none.
None, exactly.
I promise you we'll get into that at some point in these podcasts.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into that. That's a thing we actually agree on more than disagree.
Yeah, I agree strongly with that one.
So we often disagree about specific teams and players and stuff, but when we're talking about the general leagues and the and NCAA and all the pro leagues, we can agree most of the time that the leagues are virtually incompetent.
Yes, poorly run on almost all levels. Except I would argue the NBA is in great hands right now.
My man Adam Silver, the greatest commissioner.
From where?
I said the greatest commissioner.
Yeah, but from where? College?
I don't know.
It starts with a D.
Oh, he's not a Dookie, is he?
Oh, you know he's a Dookie.
He's Jewish. He can't go to Duke. Come on.
Well, he did. And he's a great commissioner, so that's the only one we got.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll talk about how the NCAA just made $150 million probably on potentially the best game ever. Jonah, do you think it's the best final ever in any sport for that matter?
It is certainly the best finish in an NCAA championship game that I've ever seen, for sure. And in hearing, in hearing what some people had to say, some commentators and some people who are really well versed in basketball, a lot of them were saying similar things. It was the best they had seen, and they've obviously been around to see a lot more games than I have. So I think this is truly one for the ages, and we should all be grateful that we were able to witness a game like that.
Yeah. So just some background about other big time finals. So UNC Georgetown 1982, Michael Jordan hits the buzzer beater where he officially became MJ. That was the birth of potentially the best player of all time that we're ever going to see.
MJ was in the crowd last night.
Yeah.
So it came full circle.
Yeah. With that Jordan crying face all over the place now.
Then he got the face put on himself.
Then 1983, just the year after, NC State Lorenzo Charles had the airball dunk against Houston, where Jimmy V was looking to hug anybody he could find. Yep. And then the only other one that I could think of really is Christian Laettner, but that wasn't a final. I mean, that's probably the best finish to any game ever. Maybe Valpo's up there too, but
in terms of importance of the game,
right? Yeah, I haven't. I mean, in my history, I've never seen anyone hit a buzzer beater to win a title in anything really.
The only thing that would have topped it is if Gordon Hayward shot it from 2 inches to the left against Duke that one time.
Yeah, and that's solely because it's from half court, and it's a bigger Cinderella than Villanova was.
Right, and like that finish itself was one of the best finishes to a game that any of us have ever seen.
Definitely, and if Chris Jenkins misses that shot, all we're talking about right now is Marcus Page hitting the biggest shot in the NCAA tournament and then probably leading his team to victory in overtime.
Yep, there's going to be a lot of talk about Chris Jenkins, and very rightly so. We'll never have to buy a beer in Philadelphia ever again. And that was absolutely cold-blooded shot. We'll try to play, and we'll for sure get to Chris Jenkins' shot in Villanova, but a lot of respect to my man Marcus Page. The degree of difficulty of that shot was incredible. It's double clutch, launched it up on his way down on the jump.
And the best part about the whole thing was he said he was thinking about passing the ball to Bryce Johnson the whole time. So he's not even thinking about shooting the ball, and he ends up drilling it.
Yeah, that was just absolutely cold-blooded shot from Marcus Page. And it was really a great game played by UNC last night.
Yeah, there should be no loser in that game.
Yeah, they didn't. I don't know. Neither of those teams deserve to lose. Those were probably the two best playing teams in terms of how well they played during the tournament. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of Villanova shooting 78%, and then 58%.
Yeah, so those were two.
Yeah, I mean it's not even fair. It's not even fair. The way that they shot the ball all tournament long.
Teams has to come away without trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, so I would argue that that's probably the best basketball final I've ever seen. The only thing in another sport that I'm thinking of off the top of my head, and it's because I'm biased, but David Tyree's catch against the undefeated Patriots is way up there in a final in my mind.
Right, it's like that, except if that were the final play of the game.
Yeah, exactly.
In my mind.
Yeah.
Right, and I hate the Giants as much as anything, but that play I remember watching, I was like, oh my god. They're playing the Patriots, it's not like I like the Patriots that much better.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, most people were with the Giants on that one. Nobody wanted to see the Patriots go undefeated, except for all of Boston.
And a good chunk of Dallas probably also.
Yeah, but, I mean, we don't respect their opinions, so...
Well, right. I mean, exactly. We have some brotherhood with Patriots fans in that we're the two most hated teams.
So
but we'll get to the NFL much later in the podcast. We got to talk about this basketball game in a little bit more detail.
So I just want to go ahead and say, if you listened to last week's podcast, I mentioned that Jay Wright was the best coach remaining. Prove me right, 110%. Jonah mentioned Roy Williams. He pretty much did the same, just didn't come away with the win. I would argue that Jay Wright was the most important player on Villanova this tournament, only because they beat 4 top 10 teams on the way, and they shut down the best player on every single team. Buddy Hield was almost non-existent. Marcus Page got going, but Bryce Johnson you wouldn't even have known he was there. Miami, nobody got going. Rodriguez played all right, but still. So I'd say Villanova made a lot of shots this tournament, but their defense won the tournament.
Yeah, and in terms of just with Jay Wright and the Villanova team in general, they've had a long run, especially with Jay. Just a long run of people doubting that they could win the big game because they had a history of losing early, and I was included in that. But I think that made this even bigger for them, that they finally just got the monkey off their back and finally won the big game. I think that was huge for them.
Definitely. And I mean, if any of you saw the highlights after the game, they showed Jay Wright. So Arcidiacono draws 2 defenders and kicks the ball back to Chris Jenkins. And literally as the ball is in the air to Chris Jenkins' hands, Jay Wright says bang. And then of course, bang. And they're national champions, and he has no expression whatsoever. Calm, cool, collected like he was all year long. And
the trademark pinstripe suit. Just absolutely the coolest guy on the court on either side, no question about it. I mean, anybody whose dream is to be a coach someday, be like Jay Wright.
Seriously. I mean, finally people will stop saying he can't win, and they'll realize what he just did with a team that I don't think was within the top 5 of most talent. But I do think they're the hardest working team in the tournament for sure.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see any NBA stars out of this Villanova team.
Yeah, I don't know that any one player is going to be drafted, to be honest.
Exactly. And I mean, even, I don't know, you see teams that go far in the tournament that have reputations like scrappy underdog like teams, like when you saw Wisconsin last year. But they had 2 first-round picks on that team, and Frank Kaminsky and Sam Decker. I'm not sure there's a draft pick on this Villanova.
Yeah, I mean, even like a Wichita State team who has 11 this year, but a lot of people picked them to go far. But Ron Baker and Fred VanVleet will be in the NBA next year.
Right. So this is like basically the quintessential college basketball team.
Yeah. So we have Arcidiacono won Most Outstanding Player.
I don't have a tremendous problem with that.
No, not at all. I mean, yes, Chris Jenkins hit the shot, but Arcidiacono...
It would have been easy to give it to Chris Jenkins. It would have been easy to give it to Josh Hart, who was obviously excellent also. But yeah, Arcidiacono was the heart and soul of that team, outside of the coach, obviously.
So, while you mentioned Josh Hart, let's take a couple minutes to talk about him. So, Chris Jenkins goes out with 2 fouls in, like, the first 6 minutes. Speaking of fouls, we both agree officiating was great in that game. They let them get into the flow of the game.
Surprisingly excellent.
Yes. So, there you go, NCAA. There's your plug for this one. But, yeah, so Josh Hart...
Plugging their product, so that's enough.
So, Josh Hart is guarding Bryce Johnson or Kennedy Meeks, whoever he happens to run down the court next to, for the majority of the first half. And he held his own completely. He's battling for rebounds. I mean, he's just an absolute bulldog, I guess is the best way to describe him.
Yeah, this was not a big Bryce game. Like, I expected from a Villanova-UNC game that you'd see a lot of Bryce. And he was definitely a factor out there. I mean, he's never not a factor.
Yeah, I mean, just because he doesn't score doesn't mean he's not a factor.
He proved himself as a future NBA player, in my opinion, but he certainly was not the dominating figure that he has been in the past, and a lot of the credit for that goes to Josh Hart.
Right, and I mean, you see it with like against Buddy Hield, Josh Hart shut him down, and then now Josh Hart is 6 inches smaller at best to Bryce Johnson, and he's holding his own. That's pretty incredible.
he reminded me a little bit of Tony Allen, just in like the Bulldog sense.
But like a much better offensive game.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the reason he's not an NBA prospect is because he's far undersized for the roles he plays.
Right.
So we might not see a lot of him in the pros. I don't know. You could see him being kind of like a 10th, 11th man glue guy in the NBA. I can certainly see that from him. But in terms of NBA All-Stars, you're not going to see that out of him. But he's the exact kind of guy you need on a college basketball team. He's versatile. He can guard any position on the court pretty much. And he can score the ball too. So I was very impressed with what I saw from him the whole tournament and especially in the Final Four.
Yeah, so in my opinion, the most surprising stat, whatever you want to call it, of the game last night was that Villanova outscored North Carolina in the paint, which I don't think has happened in like 4 years.
Yeah, North Carolina does not get outscored in the paint. And Villanova's not generally known for their big guys either.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel Ochefu cannot score in the paint, so he had nothing to do with it. It was all about penetration, and even, like, I mean, when I watched, Grayson Allen got blocked probably 7 times by Bryce Johnson when Duke played him, so it's not easy to just drive into the lane and score on them.
No, it's absolutely not. That's why I thought they were the favorites, because I thought they would be able to hold down. I mean, I just didn't see the front court talent on any of the remaining Final Four teams that could hang with North Carolina, and it turned out that maybe Villanova didn't have that front court talent, but they played in a way such that they didn't need it.
Yeah, that, in my opinion, has everything to do with Jay Wright and his mentality and what he instilled in the team. They don't care what talent they have. They don't care who believes in them, who doesn't. They believe in themselves, and they knew they were going to win that game, and they did. In the greatest moment in a really long time in sports.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's going to be a game that we're going to be talking about for a long time. I also want to give some credit, maybe talk a little bit about the teams that lost in the Final Four, because obviously we could talk about Buddy Hield for a long time. I think he's going to be a star in the NBA. I believe in him a lot. And he didn't have a good game against Villanova, obviously, but he's the kind of guy. I don't know. I mean, it's dangerous for me to say he reminds me of Dwayne Wade, but does he remind you a little bit of Dwayne Wade? I'm not saying he will be as good as Dwayne Wade. I'm not going to say he's a Hall of Famer or anything, but he reminds me a little bit of a poor man's Dwayne Wade.
Yeah, he kind of. I mean, he has the killer mentality that Wade has.
Yeah.
I don't know that he can get to the rim as easy as Wade can, but he also shoots way better than Wade can. So there's the trade-off there.
Especially than Wade did at that point in his career. Wade couldn't really shoot coming out of college.
Right, and now, I mean, he has to take 2 dribbles and step back in order to hit a jump shot, and it has to be within 20 feet of the rim, so. But,
right, exactly.
I mean, mentality-wise, athleticism, size, all that is very comparable.
Yeah, and so I think that anybody who takes him in the draft will not regret it. I mean, he's not going to be one of the top 3 picks probably, but I could see him going in the top 5 after the tournament he had, and I think that would be well deserved for him.
Definitely.
The whole Oklahoma team in general, it was a great run, great season for them, despite the absolute shellacking that they took at the hands of Villanova.
And that honestly has nothing to do with Buddy Hield. I mean, yeah, Buddy only scored 9 points, but he would have had to probably get 40 in that game just to even keep it close. You're not going to beat a team that shoots 78%. I don't care who you are. You're not beating them.
Right, and the team was just demoralized at a certain point in the game. Like, it just looked like they were sleepwalking towards the end when the margin ran up higher and higher into the 40s. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that they quit or anything. I'm just saying that it's very easy for a college team of young guys to just get disheartened at that point in the game.
Yeah, you're not going to look at the scoreboard, see you're down by 41, and feel good about yourself. So
so that's certainly understandable from Oklahoma. Great run. And in terms of Syracuse, nobody expected them to get that far. We were among their strongest doubters from the very beginning, and they certainly proved us wrong. They didn't have to win the national championship to prove us wrong. So all credit to Syracuse. We're not big fans of Syracuse, but for sure all credit to them. They had a fantastic tournament. They they overachieved in a spectacular way.
Definitely, and I would go to bat any day for Malachi Richardson. I think that kid is an incredible basketball player. He's going to have a great career in college. He's only going to get better. I mean, a freshman literally took his biggest games in March and just dominated and really shot it well. I think he's going to develop a little more handle and get to the rim at ease in the next couple of years. And in 3 years, I could easily see us talking about him like we're talking about Buddy Hield.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that the Syracuse team definitely, this isn't the last we're going to see of a lot of these guys.
So,
for sure.
With that, you want to go into our early predictions for next year?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I know you're very high on Duke.
Yes, I already filled out my bracket for next year. Duke is winning. That's all we need to know. I will win with
just
that.
Put them on the one line, put them all the way through.
Yes, they will be the number 1 overall seed, and they will win the tournament. I can guarantee that. But just quickly about them.
Yeah.
So, Harry Giles is the number 1 recruit coming out of high school. He did just tear his ACL at the beginning of this season, so he hasn't played yet this year, which is a little scary, especially because he had surgery on his other knee 2 years ago. So that's 2 surgeries in 3 years for him. He's only 19 years old. That's a little skeptical, but he's still an incredible basketball player. I mean, 6'10", can shoot it, can dribble, like I guess Ben Simmons, but I think he has a way bigger motor and just is going to be better than Ben Simmons. I can promise you that. Then Jason Tatum is the number 2 player in ESPN 100 right now. He's going to Duke as well, playing small forward, but he's like 6'8", scores like you wouldn't believe. Just won the MVP at Dick's Nationals, where his team won Oak Hill actually beat him. Sorry, but he won the MVP of high school this year. Then they have Frank Jackson, who just won the dunk contest, is going to play point guard there, who's a stud. If we still have Grayson Allen, that's just going to be not even funny. But even if we don't, Luke Kennard is still going to be there. And there's another center, Marquise Bolden, who's number 37 in ESPN 100. He potentially could be looking at Duke. It's between Duke, Kansas, and I want to say Arizona. But that's going to be, even if they get him, that'll be huge. But if they don't, they still have Emil Jefferson, who's got a medical red shirt from this year. So they're stacked. That's the bottom line, they're stacked.
Yeah, I think Duke is certainly the early favorites for national title next year. Looking at UNC, it's going to be a little bit difficult. We're obviously not going to have Marcus Page. We're not going to have Bryce Johnson. Those guys are both seniors. They'll be gone. We are still going to have Joel Berry, almost certainly. I don't see him going to the NBA.
No way.
We have a pretty decent recruiting class. I mean, our highest signed recruit so far is Tony Bradley, who's center out of Florida. He's 6'10", 235, 5-star recruit. He's going to be penciled in right away as the Bryce Johnson replacement. He's a very promising player. I'm a big fan of Seventh Woods. Very interesting name. But, yeah, so I think this UNC team is going to be good next year. I don't think they're going to make it to the national championship game again. But the pieces are here for this team to make a run, certainly, I think.
Definitely. And then one other team I want to mention, Kentucky's whatever. Kentucky's Kentucky. They're going to have 15 new players. Yeah, same thing as always. Three top 8 recruits. They have recruits number 4, 7, and 8. Right, and all of which are studs and all play different positions, of course. So they will literally have a new starting 5 next year.
Yep, as they do every year. They always are contenders.
They're going to be. They should. I think they'll be a 1 seed. If Tyler Ulis comes back, watch out, because that team's going to be really, really, really good. But if he doesn't, I still think they can be a 1 seed. I think next year we're going to get back to where we have 4 clear top teams, or even 3, and then the rest of the country, where this year we had 64 teams that were all pretty close together.
Yeah, I thought this was a great college basketball season.
Yeah. It's only going to get better.
It depends what you look for. I mean, in terms of like parity, this is the best. This is the best season that I've probably ever can remember, just in terms of how competitive it was, and anybody can win any game.
Yeah.
There wasn't the dominant team. That's why this was a perfect year for a Villanova-type team to win the national title. And next year you might have more dominant teams, but that could set us up for some Clash of the Titans Final Four matchups that will be very interesting.
100%. And then, so one more team that's just, I think, has a chance to really impress some people next year is UCLA, who obviously did nothing this year. But they have Alford's coming back, Hamilton's coming back, so pretty much their entire starting five. And then they're adding Lonzo Ball, who's a 6'5" point guard who's going to play 2 guard next year. He's the number 5 overall recruit, and the kid can really, really, really play. So I think I could see them being like a 4 or 5 seed, and giving some 1 seed a scare in the Sweet 16. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
They also have the number 9 recruit in the country in TJ Leaf, who's a 4, a power forward, and he was the number 3 power forward recruit in the country, behind only Harry Giles and Bam Adebayo, who Kentucky signed. But this guy's very good stretch 4, TJ Leaf, and I think this UCLA team can definitely make some noise. I could see them as I don't know, similar to how Kentucky was this year, like a team that could beat anybody super talented any given night.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going with Duke. You want to make a quick pick, Jonah? I know it's tough.
I can't pick Duke, so since I can't pick Duke,
you probably shouldn't even pick then, because you're going to be wrong anyways. So.
Yeah, I think I might just hold back and not pick, to be honest with you.
Well, it's going to be Duke, so you heard it here first.
Yeah.
And then one more.
That'd be my guess. But I can't make my official prediction.
Yeah, I got you. So one more quick little plug for my other school. If you guys want to go to ESPN, check out ESPN 100. Number 46, Kevin Herter. Played against him forever. Played with him forever. He's coming to Maryland. 6'5" shooting guard. Kid's gonna be like better than Jimmer Fredette. Promise you that much. And he's gonna make a lot of noise for the next 4 years. I can promise you that.
He actually played baseball against my brother when my brother was playing travel baseball, because he's a year younger than us, a year older than my brother. So he used to play baseball with my brother before he switched his focus to basketball, which was ultimately a pretty good decision for Kevin, being a top 50 ESPN recruit, and all of us from the Capital District are very much looking forward to seeing him around next year.
Definitely.
Good luck to Kevin.
So just to
send him my best for sure.
Yeah, just to make everyone realize how good this kid is, I'm gonna read his list of offers. So he has Maryland, which he signed with, Baylor tournament team, Iowa tournament team, Marquette pretty close to a tournament team, Miami tournament team, Michigan tournament team, Notre Dame tournament team, Cuse tournament team, Texas Tech tournament team, Vandy tournament team, Villanova champion, Virginia Elite 8, Xavier almost Elite 8. So I mean, the teams that this kid is getting offers from are just out of this world.
And he got offered from Marquette, that's another big time school. I mean, I'm looking on this list, like, that's, I don't know, anybody would give anything to be in a position like that.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my player to watch next year. Yes, I am slightly biased, but I promise you it's worth it. So
yep, you're a homer for your college and for your high school.
Exactly. So with that, you want to move on? We'll go to the Masters.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, so
the tradition unlike any other.
Exactly. I like the quote from the commercial. So this is my favorite time of the year, favorite week of the year specifically, because you get to watch. So Saturday you watch the Final Four, Monday you watch the tournament final, then you have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday is the Masters, and the Masters is the best golf tournament in the world. So much fun to watch. I am a big golfer, which you'll find out. So I enjoy watching the Masters more than most people. I know Jonah even likes to watch the Masters sometimes, and he's not exactly the biggest golfer in the world.
Well, yeah, let me give you my golf story real quick, because I'm, as a disclaimer, I'm still learning the intricacies of golf. My dad is not a golfer. My dad does not like golf. Whenever I'm watching golf, he's like, "Oh man, you're watching golf." I'm like, "Yeah, I love golf," but I'm still trying to get into the details of it. I watch the majors every year. I watch other tournaments. I loved watching the Ryder Cup, and so I'm a budding golf fan for sure, and so I'm learning along with some of the rest of you probably about golf, but I did really enjoy watching the Masters last year. That was the first time I watched a significant amount of the tournament, but I'm very, very excited for the Masters this year now that I know a little bit more than I did last year.
Yeah, so I'm slightly rubbing off on Jonah. I've had my effect on him for like 4 or 5 years now with the Masters, but he's getting there. By the time we have this podcast next year, I guarantee he'll pick the winner right. So maybe he'll even do it this year. But we're going to start out with some secrets of Augusta National, which is where the Masters is held every year. It's a very, very, very difficult place to get into. There's members. There's about 300. It's impossible to figure out the true number because they've never released an official member list or anything. It's like very secretive. The only way you can tell is when you go to the Masters, all the people that are wearing green jackets are the winners and the members of Augusta National. So that's really the only way you can tell. Like last year, I remember, let's see, who was it? There was some safety from, Ronnie Lott was wearing a green jacket, and no one even knew he was a member at the Augusta National. So that's just a little example there. But
well, it was quite a long time before they let black guys in, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, we're still having
like, what, the 80s?
Right, and then we just had the fight with letting women in also until Condoleezza Rice got let in. So now hopefully Augusta's gonna be a little bit liberal here.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, we're opening up. The golf world is expanding.
Exactly. So now just some weird things about Augusta. So CBS broadcasts the weekend, ESPN broadcasts Thursday, Friday. So CBS pipes in bird noise so that it makes it so you feel like you're there, and it makes it a more serene and beautiful place. And then if you ever watch, they have azaleas, and they're like the most beautiful looking things ever on TV. But they shouldn't be, because the way that like their budding season happens, they should bloom before the Masters. I'm not a florist, so I apologize for all of this, but so they should bloom before the Masters weekend, but they never do. They literally bud like the night of the Masters, and then you get them for the 4 days. And that's because they freeze them over the couple weeks beforehand so that they don't bud until Masters time. So that's just a little weird thing. And then the water on the golf course, they put in food coloring to make it bluer or greener, whatever they're feeling for that tournament. So yes, Augusta is a gorgeous place, but it looks a little better on TV because of the things they do.
Yeah, that's so yeah, maybe don't believe everything you see on TV.
Yeah. If next time you watch like a baseball game and you hear like bird noises or something, just question it for a second, see if it's CBS or who's doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
So just before we get to picks, I'm gonna give you a little breakdown about how like the players that generally win at Augusta, what's the recipe for success there. So you want to hit it really high and really far. Yes, I know. When don't you want to do that? But that's Augusta for you. The higher you hit it, the farther it's going to go.
Of course.
Yep. Augusta has a lot of hills, and it's a very fast golf course, so the grass is always very low. Ball rolls very far. The farther you hit it in the air, the better chance you're going to hit a slope, and it's going to go even farther, which is why Bubba Watson has won 2 of the last 4 Masters tournaments. He hits it farther than anyone. Yeah. So then, other than that, you want to make putts inside 5 feet. So last Masters tournament, Jordan Spieth didn't miss a putt inside 5 feet. I think he missed 1 putt inside 10 feet for all 4 rounds, which is honestly unheard of. I mean, I couldn't do that like within 2 feet. I don't think I could make every putt for 4 rounds. But that's the recipe. So hit it high, hit it far, and make putts inside 5 feet. You're going to be looking good. So with that said, Jason Day this year so far has not missed a putt inside 5 feet. He hits it very, very far. He hits it very, very high. And he's also coming off a win 2 weeks ago. So that's going to be my pick. Yeah, I know, he's the world number one. Why would you pick the world number one? Well, he's number one for a reason. He's the hottest golfer in the world right now. I think he's going to win. Hurts me to say that because I'm the biggest Jordan Spieth fan you're going to find. But I don't think Jordan Spieth's going to be able to back it up from last year. And I got Jason Day. So, Jonah, who you thinking?
Well, I kind of like Dustin Johnson in this, actually. I've been looking at some statistics here in terms of average driving distance.
He hits it very far, for all of you that don't know, and you're about to find out.
Yeah, his average driving distance in terms of drives that have been measured is 310.1 yards, which in terms of the people who are considered main contenders is behind only Bubba and only by about a yard. So if we're looking at guys who can hit the ball really far, which is something you want at Augusta, you're looking at Bubba Watson, Dustin Johnson, Rory McIlroy, to some extent J.B. Holmes, but he's not as much of a favorite, obviously, because his short game isn't nearly as good. But I don't know. I think I'm hesitant to pick Bubba. I'm not a huge Bubba Watson guy, actually.
Yep.
And I'm between DJ and Rory for this one. But I think that it's about time that Dustin Johnson wins a major. The odds sheet that I'm looking at has him at 15-1, which he's number 6 in terms of the favorites for this tournament, tied with Phil and Ricky Fowler, and so I am going to go with Dustin Johnson to win this one.
All right. I mean, after the golf gods let him down a little bit, and last year at the U.S. Open, he's got to have something on his side. So it's a trendy pick. I like Dustin Johnson a lot, but his putter scares me a little bit. He doesn't have the most confidence in it. He's kind of one of those guys that hits it really far, then gets to the green and has some trouble every now and again.
His best finish at Augusta was last year when he tied for 6th.
Right. And he was in contention all weekend last year, so.
Yeah, and he was obviously so close at the U.S. Open last year. He came in second in the British Open a few years back, but he's never done better than second in a major. And I feel like this might be DJ's time. I would love to see. I would love to see him finally win a major.
Definitely.
Obviously, I'd love to see Jordan Spieth win. We'd all love to see if he can go for a Grand Slam this time.
Of course. That would be something. And I do think that between Jason Day, Rory McIlroy, and Jordan Spieth, golf's in a great place, and one of those 3 guys, I would not be surprised at all if they make a run and win a Grand Slam in a year, like a single year Grand Slam.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Spieth has not been golfing that well lately, and do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, we can talk about that. So Spieth last week he played in the Houston Shell Open, played all right. He killed it day 1, struggled day 2. Righted the ship a little bit day 3, and then finished strong on Sunday. But his swing, you can just kind of tell, isn't where he wants it to be. He's not in the rhythm he was in last year. I mean, it's really unfair to him to compare last year to anything he's going to do, because last year he might have had the greatest golf season of anyone ever. He was just on fire. And as a 21-year-old kid, that's incredible. So now being 22, he just spent his entire offseason traveling cross country. I mean, just going to Europe a bunch of times. He was all over the place. Never got a chance to just kind of relax. And I think it's finally catching up with him.
And
with that said, go ahead.
At the match play too. So.
Yeah. He got to the quarterfinals, I think, there. But he's still, that's not what he wants. That's not good enough for him. With that being said, don't be shocked if Jordan Spieth wins the Masters. The kid is too talented to just not be a threat.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. There's been a lot of talk downplaying him, saying saying he might not make the cut, whatever. I think that's just overblown. I mean, obviously, I think that the difference you're seeing between this year and last year with Jordan is that last year he could have a bad day and he'd come in at 1 over, you know?
Yeah.
And so that was definitely salvageable for him. If he's having bad days this year, he's shooting 5 over.
Yeah, he's not he's just out of the flow of the game he was in last year.
Right, which obviously you can't expect anyone to be as good as Jordan Spieth was last year, but winning the Masters is not easy. And
yeah.
It's obviously not a failure if you don't win the Masters.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this could be the week he figures it out. He could just be saving up some energy for the big tournament. And we all know different players in any sport have their routines, conserve energy in different ways. So I wouldn't be surprised to see people are doubting him a little bit more, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. He just has too much talent. I understand why people are saying he might not make the weekend. I know he struggled, but you cannot bet against a kid that is this good at this age. I mean, he's gonna be good for the next 20 years. Yes, definitely. I'm gonna give him a top 10 finish. I don't think he's gonna win it, but I'm gonna give him top 10. So for some recreational purposes, let's go with 2 underdogs that I really like. First one being Hideki Matsuyama is a 45-1, a young Japanese kid. He's played so good in so many tournaments, but nobody knows about him really. He's had 2 or 3 top 10 finishes now in the Masters. Last year he played really good. He's 45-1, so he's not that big of an underdog, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's making some noise on the weekend, even if he had a lead at some point Saturday and Sunday. And then the last one I'm going to give you is going to be Rafael Cabrera Bello from Spain. He's 90-1. He just came in third, right?
Third at the match play.
Yeah, third. So he's getting it going right now, feeling good. I wouldn't be surprised to see him make a little bit of a run. I'm not picking him to. I wouldn't be surprised if he also missed the cut. I'm just saying he's one of the guys that could go either way. But I think Hideki Matsuyama is a big time threat to potentially win this championship.
I'm gonna offer up a sleeper for you too. Actually, right. It's not as much of a sleeper. The odds he's listed. I'm looking at 35-1 for him right now, and that is Charles Schwartzel.
I like it.
South African. He won the Masters in 2011. He hasn't won any other majors besides that. But he's already proven he can do well at Augusta. He's been good lately as well. And I don't know. I think at 35-1, that's a pretty decent bet if you're a betting person. I mean, you don't want to take any golf bet that's odds are any below 20-1, say, because just with how large the fields are, the benefit to taking that bet is too small.
Right.
But if you're looking for someone who's proven he can win the Masters, who might be a little bit underrated, I think my man Charles Schwartzel is a decent bet for that.
It's kind of funny you said that because the one other guy I was thinking about going with is his native countryman, Louis Oosthuizen.
Yeah.
Who's just a little bit more favored. But yeah, he's been hot this year so far, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him win it. He's won in so many places. I mean, he knows how to win. He fell off for a little bit. He had some problems just with kind of desire, I guess. He wasn't really interested in golf for a little bit, and then found his passion again, and he's back on top of his game. So, but I guess, as you can tell by us picking millions of players, this is going to be a good tournament. It's a very deep field.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of people that can win it, so I think it's going to be good. I'm not saying watch all 4 rounds, but you might want to tune in on the weekend Just even if it's for a couple hours, especially on Sunday, I promise you it's going to be a good finish.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's our Masters segment. So Masters and NCAA, by the time we talk to you next week, it's going to be over with. I'm getting a little emotional about that, but guess we got to deal with it. Best time of the year is coming to an end.
Yeah, March and the beginning of April with opening day baseball mixed in there. But there's good stuff ahead. Playoffs for the NBA and the NHL, which we'll talk about next week. Got the NFL draft coming up. So there's definitely good stuff ahead.
Exactly. So to stem our sadness a little bit, we're going to get into some NFL. I know it's a little bit down the road, but we just had some news yesterday that was released by Roger Goodell that Twitter won the bid to stream Thursday Night Football. So you think this is a good or a bad thing, Jonah?
I think that it's a good thing. It's one of the few good moves I think Roger Goodell in the last few years. I'm actually
watch out! You're about to get fined. You're about to get fined.
Yeah, I know. I think that Twitter and social media in general is the direction in which sports media is headed in general. So I think that it's a smart move by the NFL to get ahead of that curve and start showing games where the people are, which is Twitter. I mean, I know I'll certainly give it a try. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to function.
Yeah, that's the one thing I'm a little worried about.
Just exactly how in the app, how that would work. But I don't know, you see all the leagues and all the different teams, like in every sport, trying to integrate social media into their broadcast. You see that with ESPN. You'll see tweets running across the bottom from players and stuff. So I think to bring it right to that platform is certainly something worth trying.
Yeah, there's a running joke right now that the players are going to have their Twitter handle on their jersey instead of their last name. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, well, I mean, that wouldn't be the worst idea. Maybe they could set up little stations, with the Microsoft Edge tablets thing on the sideline or whatever.
Let's just say
set up so the players can just tweet when they're on the sideline. Like OBJ would just be on the sideline tweeting some sub-tweet at Josh Norman when they're playing the Panthers. It'll be great. It's going to be fantastic. I can't wait for the in-game Twitter fights.
Let's just say I'm very excited that Ocho Cinco and Terrell Owens are not on the field for this because that could be potentially terrible. Who knows what would happen there? But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a good thing. It's the first time anyone's really going to like the teenagers, I guess, or the younger generation.
Yeah.
But I don't know how, like you said, I don't know how it's gonna work. It could be good, could be bad. It depends on how Twitter is gonna set up and how strong their streaming capacity is going to be and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the future of sports media is definitely something that you could obviously get into for a while. And I know our friend and role model, Bill Simmons, does a lot of talk about that. And so that's something we'll be talking about just in the context of the sports that we talk about. But I think that, I don't know, the way you see it going and with the way you see cable going in general, I mean, people are watching regular programming on Netflix, on streaming, and other ways. And so the biggest thing that TV still has is live events, especially sports, because people don't want to watch those later. They want to watch them when they happen. So to see even live sports moving away from the networks is something that's going to be very interesting to watch in terms of how TV stations deal with that.
Right, and one thing I hope this changes is I hate the Thursday Night Football on NFL Network because it's just such a ploy to go get your money to go buy NFL Network when you obviously aren't doing that on Sunday nights. But hopefully this can slightly bring the NFL away from that. I know it's still probably going to be on NFL Network. And I'm sure that, at least for the first year, the Twitter stream might not be the greatest. But
yeah, I mean, they'll be working out the kinks, but it's a thing that you have to get started before you move it fully. So I think as an experimental thing, it's really something worth trying.
Yeah, I think it's a step in the right direction for sure. Which is, I can't believe I'm saying the NFL got something right, but they did.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe it.
So So with that, you want to go to the division winners?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the NFC this week. We'll get into the AFC next week for those of you who are fans of AFC teams, but since we are both fans of teams from the NFC East, we decided we'd talk about the NFC first. This is our preliminary pre-draft picks. We'll be making our official predictions probably on a separate podcast closer to the start of the NFL season.
Definitely.
But just our preliminary look pre-draft at what teams we think are best set up for this season in the NFC. So do you want to start with the West and finish with the East so we can talk about our team plans?
Yeah, we need to save the best for last for sure.
All right, so let's start with the NFC West. Last year, you had the Arizona Cardinals and the Seattle Seahawks, both as playoff teams. Those teams are still looking strong. You got the San Francisco 49ers under Chip Kelly now, which will be interesting to watch. And, of course, we have the newly moved Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah, I gotta get used to that one.
I know. Our parents don't have to get used to it. They've been having to get used to the St. Louis Rams for years. Now
Seriously.
It's normal again.
So I think this division is going to be a lot closer than potential. I mean, I know. Okay, so Arizona and Seattle are the cream of the crop. They're the two best teams. I think they're going to end as the two best teams. But I think that San Fran is going to steal some wins from people. I think Chip Kelly is going to have the same effect he did in year one with the Eagles. I know the roster is much worse than it was in Philly, but I still think that he's an offensive mastermind. Let's be honest, and he can squeak some wins out. Todd Gurley is maybe probably the best young running back in the NFL. I really like him a lot. Their St. Louis's defense, I know they just took a hit, losing a couple players, more than a couple, 4 or 5. But I still think they're pretty solid.
Dude, you said St. Louis. You can't be saying St. Louis.
Oh, you're right. L.A. See, I told you I get used to it.
It's L.A.
Yes, the Dodgers. The Dodgers have a great defense.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with the Cardinals, and there's one reason, one player. Tyrann Mathieu. I think a healthy Tyrann Mathieu paired with Patrick Peterson makes an already deadly defense that much deadlier. They have Calais Campbell. I know he's getting up there in age, but he's still a stud. If Dwight Freeney comes back, that helps him even more. I just think they're so solid on defense. Their offense is getting better each year, so we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, absolutely. They also got Chandler Jones, which is a pretty big addition.
Yeah.
He's an impact pass rusher. This is a team that was good. That was good last year. They got Evan Mathis to play guard to replace Jonathan Cooper, who they traded to New England in the Chandler Jones trade. But I think the Cardinals are very well set up to win now. I think they're obviously a very strong team, and I think I'm going to agree with you in terms of the Cardinals winning the division. Certainly before we see any draft results, I would go with Arizona. I think Seattle has had some losses that are going to be tough to replace, and they haven't. I mean, they lost Russell Okung, they lost Bruce Irvin, they lost Brandon Mebane. That's a lot of linemen.
Marshawn Lynch.
To replace, right? Obviously Marshawn Lynch as well. So a lot to replace. You can't just replace Russell Okung with Jamarcus Webb. I'm not sure how well that's going to work out. I think a lot of Bears fans can tell you exactly how well it's going to work out.
Ask Jay Cutler.
Yeah. So I think that Seattle is going to have a tough time with this year. I think this division is obviously still very talented. You never want to count out Russell Wilson. He's done a lot with a little bit in terms of talent on offense. But I think Arizona got better and Seattle got worse, and Arizona won the division last year. So I'm going to go with the Cardinals too.
You got Seattle in second, though, right?
Yeah, I got Seattle in second, but I would not be surprised to see them at 9-7.
Yeah.
I would be surprised to see them not make the playoffs this year.
I was just going to say, you think wild card or no?
I'd have to look at it more closely in terms of the whole NFC, but I certainly wouldn't be surprised to see them miss the playoffs. I think the NFC in general is not as strong as it was last year, but so I think you could see the Seahawks sneak in, but I think they're certainly not as good as they were last year. I think Arizona's going to win that division by a few games.
Yeah, I think Seattle's going to make it just because they're too good. Russell Wilson's a beast, and their defense is still just as good. I know they lost players, but they fill the spots pretty well every year. So I could see them getting a lot
especially with
there.
the secondary. Pete Carroll could probably plug me into that secondary, and I'd be at least a passable cornerback. So.
Exactly, and when you have Earl Thomas over the top, it's hard to be bad. So.
Right, exactly.
All right, so we got Arizona and Seattle. So let's go. Where do you want to go next? South?
Yeah, you want to go south?
Not really, but sure.
Probably also gonna... Yeah. I'm definitely gonna go with the Panthers to repeat as division winners. This division, I mean, they won it by 7 games last year, which is pretty tough to do in a 16-game season. So, yeah, I think the Panthers, they weren't as good as their record was last year. They went 15-1. So I don't think that they're going to be 15-1 again, but I think they certainly have enough to win the division again.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing about that, they were 15-1, and they were missing Kelvin Benjamin, who's probably their best offensive player behind Cam Newton, obviously.
Right, so when you look at their free agent additions, you have to factor in that they're adding Kelvin Benjamin.
Yeah, it's not even fair. And they re-signed Charles Johnson, so really their only loss is Jared Allen.
Right.
Which is, I mean, he was a spot pass rusher, but still, it's a big loss. But Coney Ealy could have been the Super Bowl MVP, and he didn't even start. So.
Right. I think they're going to not have too much trouble plugging him back in. Plus, they re-signed Charles Johnson on a pretty team-friendly deal, so that was huge.
Exactly. Which is a little unfortunate because the Giants offered him double what the Panthers offered him, and he said no because he wanted to stay in Carolina. It's all right, but a little bitter about that still.
He wants to be on a Super Bowl team.
Yeah, that's why he went to the wrong city, dude. Come on. Yeah.
I mean, I think the Falcons are going to be pretty good this year. I don't think they're going to win the division. I think that the Panthers will win it pretty solidly, but I like what the Falcons have done a lot. They signed Alex Mack, who's one of the best offensive linemen in the game. They signed Mohamed Sanu, who's going to actually provide some production in a way that Roddy White hasn't been able to. As a fantasy owner of Roddy White, I can tell you lots about that. They got Sean Witherspoon back, who they've had in the past. They got Courtney Upshaw from Baltimore. So they've had some pretty big additions. They started off real hot last year and faded towards the end, but I think I'm betting on their hot start being more representative of what they are as a team than the cold finish. And so I don't think the Falcons will win the division, but don't be surprised to see them in the playoffs.
I got same thing, Panthers. I think they're going to win it pretty easily. They're too good, too talented, and I don't think the rest of the division is as good as they need to be. But instead of your Falcons pick, I'm going to go with the Bucs to come in second because I love Jameis Winston. It's really hard to not be good when you throw to 3 people over 6'5" with Mike Evans, Vincent Jackson, and Austin Seferian-Jenkins.
Yeah, absolutely. And they lost very little in the offseason.
Yep. Re-signed Doug Martin, which was big.
They got your boy Robert Ayers, too.
Yeah, well,
so
we'll see how that works. He's very overpaid for someone who's going to play like 4 games. But anyways, yeah, so I got the Bucs, but I could see the Falcons, too. I could even see the Saints coming in second. I don't know. Those 3 teams are pretty close in my mind.
Yeah, I probably like the Saints the least out of the teams in that division.
Which is, but they still have Drew Brees, so like anything can happen.
Right, so you can't count him out. I'd probably have Tampa Bay third, and New Orleans fourth, but I could see the last 3 teams in pretty much any order. It wouldn't shock me that much.
Definitely. All right, let's go north.
Yep. So this is an interesting division. The Vikings surprisingly won it last year. I was one of the few people who had them in the playoffs last year, so that's some credit to me as a predictor. I did not think they were going to win the division, though, which they did, surprising Green Bay, who had a lot of injuries last year. But this is a very interesting division. The Packers didn't add a lot in terms of free agents.
What a surprise.
The only person they signed was Jared Cook. But you have to consider that they're getting Jordy Nelson back, which is huge, absolutely huge. That's basically a free agent addition in the same way that getting Kelvin Benjamin back is like a free agent addition for the Panthers. I think the Vikings probably overachieved last year. I still think they're good, and I tend to think they make the playoffs again, but as a wild card this time, I'm not going to bet against Aaron Rodgers with a healthy receiving core, and I'm going to go with Green Bay.
Yeah, I don't have anyone. So, in my mind, the Lions are dead. They're done. Calvin Johnson is like the biggest loss they could have ever imagined.
Yep, I don't like the Lions this year either.
Then the Bears are the Bears. I mean, Jay Cutler didn't get any better. He lost Bennett, which is going to hurt him a lot. Lost Matt Forte, so they got a lot worse. I know their defense got better, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
They've had some additions on defense that I like. I mean, they signed Danny Trevathan, who's a pretty big addition. He was an impact player for the Super Bowl champion Broncos last year, obviously. And they re-signed pretty much all their guys. They got Alshon Jeffrey back. So I think that the Bears are going to be decent, but I think you're going to see the Packers and Vikings battling out of the top of this division again.
Yeah, I got the Packers winning pretty, I guess, easily. A couple games, 2 or 3 games. But probably at like 11-5, 12-4, somewhere around there. Back to normal.
Yeah, I mean, I see the NFC wildcard battle coming down to either the Vikings, the Falcons, or the Seahawks.
Say it. Good. I thought you were going to say somebody else.
No, I think there's going to be one playoff team out of the East again.
It's not going to be you, if that's what you mean.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to have winning the division, but I think whoever comes in second will have a record that's not good enough to get a wild card.
So with that, we'll go to the East then. I'll let you go first because I'll have a lot to say, I'm sure, about what you have to say.
Yeah, okay, so I'm not sure if we talked much about football yet, but if it wasn't already clear, I'm a big Dallas Cowboys fan. That's made me kind of an outcast in upstate New York, which is clearly Giants country.
I really wish we had the capability to hit one of those buttons that just says boo. Then it would be great. Yeah. But we're not that advanced yet. It's only the 4th podcast, so like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah, I mean, we'll be talking plenty about the Cowboys and Giants over the course of the football season for sure. The Cowboys did what they could with the limited amount of cap space they had in free agency this year. I like what they did. They signed Alfred Morris, which I was a big fan of that move. They signed Cedric Thornton away from the division rival Eagles, which was a pretty good move in terms of negative for the Eagles and positive for the Cowboys. And in the same way we're talking about returning injured players, counting as additions, the biggest thing the Cowboys are going to have this year is Tony Romo back at quarterback. And when he's fully healthy, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. We'll save the whole Eli versus Romo debate for closer to the season.
Yes, because I will win. I will win that.
But I think we can both agree that Tony Romo, when he's healthy, is a very good quarterback.
Yeah, except when he gets to the playoffs. But anyways.
Right. Well, yeah, we're not talking about the playoffs yet, though. I'm saying if Romo can stay healthy, then I think the Cowboys have as good a shot as anybody in this division. I think they're better than last year's team in general, which is not that difficult. We obviously finished 4-12 last year. That was in parentheses, if you could tell by my voice.
No, I heard that. We all heard
that. In like small print in parentheses. Yeah, I mean, I like what the Cowboys did this offseason. I think they're going to be certainly much better than 4-12. But I like what the Giants did this offseason, and I know you do too, so I'm going to let you talk about that for a little bit.
Yes, we spent every dollar that could be found at Wall Street, anywhere. We even picked the pennies behind the vending machines. We spent everything we had on Olivier Vernon, who's great, 25-year-old, best-rated defensive end last year. Going to be on the Giants for a real long time, I hope. Got JPP back for a 1-year prove-it kind of deal. Hopefully he proves it and we can sign him to a long-term deal. Snacks Harrison from the Jets. Always nice to take one from the other side. He's rated the best run stopper last year as a defensive tackle, so that's nice for sure up the middle, which makes that defensive line look like the old defensive line of OC, Justin Tugg, Michael Strahan, all those guys when we beat the Patriots. So I like that a lot. Secondary was a problem. We got Janoris Jenkins this year. He's a little risky. He's a ball hawk.
I love Janoris Jenkins.
Yeah, but I mean,
I'm just a big fan of him.
I'm afraid he's going to try to jump some routes and we don't have help over the top. It's a little scary, but I think he'll be all right. Pairing him with DRC is about the best that I could ever dream of on the Giants. And then Landon Collins, good. We still gotta get a free safety. We got Keenan Robinson from the Redskins, middle linebacker. Another prove it kind of deal. He's coming off an injury, but he was a leading tackler for the Redskins 2 years ago. So they made a lot of moves, got a lot better. Still got money to spend. Still have the draft. So I'm pretty excited about what they did so far.
Yeah, I think you definitely have a right to be excited about what the Giants did this offseason. I was certainly envious of that offseason for sure. I mean, we lost Prince Umugamara.
Good.
Who's a good player.
No, he's not.
But
he's a sieve.
Well, I mean, when you compare him to the cornerbacks that I've had to deal with and watch for the past 2 years,
Morris Claiborne doesn't count. He can't even spell his first name.
He seems like an all-pro. But yeah, Prince Umugamara, wish him well in Jacksonville this year. But yeah, I mean, I would guess you're going to pick the Giants to repeat the wonders of their past this year.
Yes. Well, you see, we've won the division, or we made the playoffs twice in the last probably 8 years, and those 2 times we won the Super Bowl. So here we come again. That's what I gotta say.
I don't think any of the teams in this division. I don't really want to pick any of them to win this division. I mean, I think the Redskins are not as good as they played last year and didn't do a lot to get better in the offseason. I mean,
yeah, they got worse.
I don't know if Kirk Cousins is as good as he played last year. He might be.
No, he's a joke.
Really good quarterback, but
no way.
But even if he is, the team around him, they got lucky by the rest of the division having a really bad year. They won their last 4 games and won the division. I don't see that happening again. The Eagles are interesting. I think they had a very good offseason.
Yeah, they did. They got better for sure, especially with the coach.
Yeah, they're free from Chip Kelly, which can only be a good thing. And they dumped a lot of their contracts and they signed some people that, their point of view, will hopefully make them a better team. They got certainly better on the offensive line by getting Brandon Brooks. They got Rodney McLeod, who I'm a fan of, from Los Angeles.
There you go.
Los Angeles. And they signed Ruben Randall, which will probably cost them 2 or 3 wins by himself.
Yeah, so easily. Yes, he will be the reason they don't make the playoffs. I promise you that. Having watched him for 5 years, the best thing that could have ever happened. Actually, that's the second best thing. The best thing that could have happened was him going to Dallas. So I'll settle for the second best.
Right, but I know that we're both going to be happy to this year together watch Ruben Randall be terrible and be happy about it.
The best way to cover Ruben Randall is not to cover him and let him mess up himself, because he will find a way to throw some sort of game in the biggest of fashions.
Yeah, he'll find a way. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm not picking a team to win a division that's got Sam Bradford at quarterback. I'm sorry, I'm just not doing it. I'm not a Sam Bradford believer in any way. That leaves me with the Cowboys and the Giants.
And I know you're not going to pick the Giants, so you might as well just say it.
I know, you know that quite correctly. So, I'm going to take a swing for the fences here. I'm going to pick my Dallas Cowboys from the division. I wouldn't be surprised if any of these 4 teams won the division. Honestly, I think the maximum record we're getting out of the division is somebody going 10-6. So I wouldn't be surprised to see anybody win the division. I mean, the Cowboys are only 1 year removed from a 12-4 season, having just come off 4-12, and almost all of the talent from that 12-4 team is still on the roster. So there's certainly the potential to have a good year again. The key, obviously, is Romo being healthy. If Romo's not healthy, then obviously this prediction will not come true. It all depends on him.
Yeah, so that'll take him 1 game to break his collarbone for the 4th time in, 2 years? So then you guys will be done.
I'd be equally unsurprised by that outcome.
But anyways, so on a serious note, I have, with a healthy Victor Cruz, I have the Giants going 12-4. You might be a little shocked by that. Yes, they're that good, Jonah. They're that good.
I mean, if I the way I'm gonna have my prediction here is like the Cowboys would win the division at 9-7, and the Giants would go 8-8. That's how I would have.
No, you see, you're the team that always goes 8-8. You're the team that's been like 100 and 100 in the last 10 years or whatever it is.
Well, no, the thing is, I was looking at Football Reference the other day, a very useful tool. I would highly recommend using the reference site. But in the last 5 years, the Cowboys' record is 40-40.
I'm the least bit shocked by that ever.
Which is the Jason Garrett years. Like they're an exactly average football team.
And I'm sure the Jerry Jones years have been. I mean, Aikman blew it up a little bit, but minus those years, I guarantee you're still 500.
I think. Well, I think if the Cowboys don't make the playoffs this year, Garrett's gone for sure. I'm surprised they didn't fire him last year. To be honest with you, I wouldn't have been unhappy with them firing him. Let me just say that. I don't think he's bringing a lot of energy to the sideline by any stretch. But yeah, I mean, I think it could happen for him. I think like a 9-7 playoff appearance might actually be the worst thing that could happen to the Cowboys next year. Like, if they just sneak into the playoffs and bring Garrett back and get a mediocre draft pick again, like,
yeah,
that might just be the worst thing that could happen. I would either like to see them have a great season or just bottom out again.
Yeah, I got you guys at like 10-6 and getting a wild card. I think there'll be 2 from the East. I think the East is gonna. I don't think it's as good as it used to be, but I think that it's gonna get 2 more teams back in the tournament or back in the playoffs like it has in the past. And I also wouldn't be surprised if Philly was one of those teams, just because I know this is the first year that they probably haven't had the most talent in the division in a long time, but they got a new coach and I think he's pretty solid. So.
Yeah, the team's gonna like make sense this year.
Yeah.
In a way that, like, in the past, I mean, like all this talent, but like, I don't know. I mean, last year they were running out like DeMarco Murray, Ryan Matthews, and Darren Sproles all are running back at the same time.
Yeah, with Sam Bradford,
like
who's not
totally
mobile.
Nonsensical like approach to building a team, and so I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs this year. I think it's gonna take a year to like build that into a reasonable franchise, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them come out of the next few years as a much better team that came into it.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, so I got Giants, Cardinals, Packers, and I forget who the other team I picked. Panthers, yep. And then you have Cowboys. You have the same thing, but the Cowboys.
Right, and yeah, you have the Seahawks performing a little bit better than I do. You like the Bucs. I like the Falcons. I probably like the Vikings a little bit more than you do. I'm not sure if that's true, but
yeah, like I would have Dallas and Seattle as the wild cards.
Yeah, I'd probably go with my wild cards as Minnesota and Seattle for the moment. I think Atlanta would probably just miss out, but yeah, that's what I got for the NFC right now. Pre-draft, that being a caveat, obviously we'll have a full full predictions coming to you in early September.
Yeah, we'll probably have like one full podcast just debating Giants against Cowboys for no reason whatsoever, just because it's fun.
Yeah. That's an argument that hasn't been kind to me in the time that we've been friends. But
alright, you got anything else?
Point to the trophies in the cabinet.
Okay, Mets fan against the Yankees fan. I'll point to my trophies too.
But of course, none of those were in my lifetime, the Cowboys trophies, so it doesn't do me all that much good.
Yeah, I've literally seen every single one of my teams win at least one trophy in my lifetime.
I've seen none of them win any, so...
Oh, actually, I gotta take that back. I haven't seen the Capitals win, but this is the year.
Yeah, we'll be talking about the NHL pretty extensively on the next podcast. So
definitely. Alright.
if you're looking for that, that'll be coming up next week. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's that. Thanks for listening.
Yep, thank you.